Thank you very much for the honor of invitation. And also thank you very much for Sophie and Blake to enlighten me with so many specific issues. My talk will be more general in a sense, in case I run away and could not find time to talk about the United Front before I talk about the regime of the CCP and Xi Jinping. I just try to define the United Front of the CCP in general terms. Mao Zedong told Chinese Communist Party back in 1939 that there were 3 magic weapons for its survival and victories. That's the party, the army, and the United Front. So as you can see, the status of the United Front is the same as the party and the army itself. And in the United Front, as indicated by the word in Chinese, the 2 parts, Tong and Zhan, there's a united part and the fighting part. For the uniting part, it actually, the operation is to cultivate, to co-op and plant the agent, proxies, and allies within the enemy camp in order to sabotage from within, to destroy the enemy from within. And the fighting part is to isolate, marginalize, and ultimately destroy the primary enemy at a given time, because they change the enemy all the time, but they always enemies. So in the current case, the primary enemy, of course, is liberal and democratic force led by the United States. So that's the general situation. We need to understand the United Front is a function of the CCP. It's by its nature. Because they survive in a hostile environment conditions, which is comparatively is a weaker force compared to democratic force. So that's why they engage in United Front strategy and operation. So let me turn to the bigger issue, but it's too big to talk, very big. To talk about the totalitarian issue regime under Xi Jinping. Briefly, I need to divide the communist rule in China into 3 major periods. The first period is the totalitarian period under Mao Zedong from 1949 to 1976. It's the same as Soviet Union in the past as well as the current North Korea. So it's the party state taking control of over the society, every aspect of life. So that's totalitarian rule for almost 30 years. And then after the death of Mao in 1976, such as the death of Stalin in 1956 in Soviet Union, China went into the second period, what we call the post-totalitarian period, from 1976 up until 2012. During this period, there's a tremendous force of the totalitarianization in 1980s, about a decade. So during this period, you have the revival of capitalist economy, personal autonomy, civil society, and cultural or religious or intellectual plurality. So that's investment from the outside world, as well as even including the international NGOs, went into China to take the opportunity out there. And during this period, also known as the period of opening and reform, China turned itself into from the utter poverty into a country with middle income. And then by 2012, China actually was in a crossroad. On the one hand, the liberal force joined together try to put close the line to install constitutional democracy in China. At that point, you have a tremendous momentum of so-called right defense movement, 维权运动, as well as very strong intellectual trend in the public, as well as within the established of the so-called 宪政, that's constitutional democracy. And on the other hand, the hardliners within the Chinese Communist regime try to do everything possible to suppress the aspiration of the population as well as the force for democratization. So that is a confrontation of the two camps. When Xi Jinping was selected as the leader, he had the choice. He did not turn left, neither to right. He made the worst choice to turn back. So this is the final stage or period of the PRC. That's the regression backward toward totalitarianism. So what we witness over the last decade is the hardliners led by Xi Jinping to reinstall all those totalitarian mechanisms, to eliminate civil society, to eliminate personal autonomy, to eliminate religious or cultural plurality, to destroy, actually to root out the civil society and to purge in systematic way of the rivals, political rivals and dissidents. So including, of course, commit a variety of crimes against humanity in Tibet, in Hong Kong, in China as a whole. So now it's the situation that the Chinese facing the totalitarian dictatorship again. But in China, we have a saying that when things reach the extreme, it will turn to the opposite. So this regime is under siege from every direction now. So the three forces is working together to bring about the demise of this regime. Of course, one is, of course, the liberal forces within China, and the second one is the anti-totalitarian force within the government, and the fourth one is the Democratic and liberal force of the Democratic Alliance of the international community. Thank you.